Alright, time to go up and support Honda so they can tell me how terrible my car is. In the future, I'm going to go to the back of the sports Honda. There's a service reception, express service area. You go in there, and there's like a express checkout, and then there's parts. And I'm like, hey, I'd like to get the parts. And the lady's like, are you looking for parts? You got to go outside, back around the building. So I did. I went outside, back around the building, saw a guy there. He had a long, shady black trench coat, asked me what the VIN number was, what my car looked like, and then proceeded to sell me some parts. Was a radiator cap for a 2007 Honda Pilot EXL. Came out to $28.49. With tax, $30.20. And I know I could have got this online for a lot cheaper, but I wanted it today. So if you want service right now, you pay right now money. All right. One of the things that the Piloteers forum suggested that I do was to check and see if my upper lower radiator hose felt squishy or was it firm. And one of the reasons why you would check to see if that was the case is if it's firm, it's a pressurized system. As I've learned, it needs to be pressurized in order for coolant to flow properly. And if it's not pressurized, then something can be wrong. So I'm gonna go ahead and check that. So the car is up to temperature, and you should be able to see how this feels. So it's hot, but I can squeeze it. It's very hot, but I can squeeze it for this upper radiator hose. And I'm gonna, when this all cools down, take this off and then look at it and compare it to the new one that I got. So we're out here again with this Honda Pilot, 2007 Honda Pilot EXL, diagnosing, troubleshooting some of the heat issues. Today we're going to work through a couple things. First, we're going to check the radiator cap. As you can see, I bought a brand new one. We're going to look at the differences between the two. We're going to check the radiator upper and lower hose again to see if when the car is getting hot, when it's been burped, the car is hot. Is it holding pressure? Is it tight? I checked it the other day. It wasn't, so I'm not going to be surprised if it isn't again. And then we're going to check for air leaks, and we're going to see if any of this solves the problem. You know something I didn't notice? My VIN is right there. Look at that. So, yeah, we're going to do that, and we'll see what happens. So this is the one that I took off the vehicle, yellow. I'm not even sure what brand it's made by. It says here made in Japan. Just tells you not to open it while it's hot. Thank you for that. And then we've got this what I know is a Honda OEM part. Never open while hot also says that. But it's got, I guess, 1-in-1 maybe, or 1.1, and whatever signal this is right there on the top. Also, there's a little bit of, if you can hear that, it's like almost like shaking. And this one, it's kind of, there's nothing. I don't know what the difference is between those two. The part for this Honda OEM part is as below, as you can see it. It cost me $28.49 plus tax, which brought me up to $30.20, I believe. Yep. So a little expensive. I know I could have gone to Honda Parts Now or another site, Parts Geek or something like that, and tried to find an OEM part that was at one of those sellers for cheap and get it shipped to me, but I decided to go ahead and get it like this. So I'm going to see what it feels like installing this one. Alright, got it installed. It certainly did fit tighter than this one did. Um, so I am going to, what I'm going to do first before I do that is I'm going to add coolant to the system and try to burp the vehicle and see if I can get that pressure to rise in those pipes. Then I will go ahead and be able to kind of put that on there, run it a little bit, see if there's a difference. I think the pressure will rise. I'm not sure. We'll see though. Hey, what's up, folks? It is me from the future. Of course, when you're in the future, you know all things. And one of those things is that Honda has a preset way to burp your vehicle to get it back in operation. That'll be the subject of another video. For right now, you're going to have to look at me kind of fumble my way through this and burp it the way that I think it should be burped. Of course, everybody has their own special way. If you're looking at this video and you have no idea what that filler cap thing is, it's actually like a no-spill filler cap. Allows you to be able to pour coolant in the system and burp by having the coolant at the highest level of the system. I thought that was pretty ingenious. It's a pretty cool tool to use. However, it doesn't help me out at all with this particular process, trying to burp all the air out of the system. One thing that I'm continually having problems with to this day, which is like almost a year later, is getting all the air out of the system, hearing that gurgling sound in the heater core. So yeah, that's how it is. I was I was sitting over here with a smudged up screen, so my apologies on that first part of the video. But as you can see, it's warming up a little bit. Let's go ahead and hook it up. As you can see right there, I've got a little bit of a visual on the coolant filling neck and area. So we'll see what happens. See, the bubbles are starting to kind of pop out of there. Still going at it. It's not. I'm not holding it down all the time, but I will let it go a little bit. Let it rest. And as you can see, there's still some bubbles going on that side. One thing I have noticed is that the level of the coolant has actually rose a little in the fill neck. But as you can see down here at the bottom, you still got air bubbles popping up. And obviously that's not something that you want. All right, a little more. We keep going. So I think we're getting to the point where it has been burped enough. If you look down here, you're not seeing the bubble. Well, there's one. There's a couple more. Like, this is when I'm not on the gas though. So, you know, it's kind of one of those things. Do you continue, you know, pumping more? So, you know, I definitely want to be thorough. I don't like doing things twice when you can do it once. So, gotta keep going until we're done burping all the air out. This is why I don't, I'm not a mechanic, but you also need to make sure that your heat is on. So that is not on. So it's on heat, but let's turn it up. Let's turn it up all the way. Real quick, removed the center console so that I could test to see if heat was getting to the rear of the vehicle. Here's something I thought was pretty cool. As I'm measuring the heat, see it rising as I'm revving the engine, which just obviously means that the water pump is pushing that coolant throughout the system, and some of the hot coolants up at the front of the engine is getting pushed back through that heater core and is raising the temperature of the heat coming out of the engine, or coming out of the vents. And this is the highest that it's ever been. As I get on that accelerator, you know, 140. Now let's see what happens when I come off the accelerator. See, it starts to drop a look back down. Get on the accelerator again, see if it can get back up. You see the max temp is, you know, at the bottom with this cycle of using the laser, starts to go back up. So I'll see how high I can get it. What I notice is when you get off of that accelerator, the it's like the engine like slurps like back. So maybe that's part of the pressure that's in the system that kind of has to build up and then come off. So we'll see. We're at about 31 minutes of burping, and I've started this burping, you know, a little bit before that time period. So, you know, it should kind of be done in my opinion. But as you can see, I'm going to zoom in on the neck, and I'm going to press the accelerator. Look at that. Just the bubbling. Come off of the accelerator. More bubbles. And since I've figured out this rhythm, I've been doing this for the last 10 minutes. We'll go up to 3K. Go back down. And then slightly press the gas a little bit. And then you get some bubbles. And that slight press, it takes it to about 2K RPM. then back to 3 for a bit. More bubbles. So I thought maybe that, you know, if there's a leak in the system, it could be sucking air from somewhere. But in that case, you know, one of the symptoms could be it's spewing radiator fluid or coolant somewhere else. I checked underneath the vehicle. It's pretty dry except for the oil leak that I got going on with my valve cover. But no coolant on the ground, and no active dripping when I get down there. So my only assumption at this point is that it is continuing to fill the coolant system. And just keep going until it stops. All right, we are back at the hour 1 minute mark. So let's look at what we got going on here. So been doing the same thing. Ooh, there you go. Been doing the same thing. We'll rev it up to 3,000. 3,000 mark. Let it rev for a little bit. Let's let off. Alright, we are off the gas. Give it a couple seconds. There you go. There's a burp. Rev it up to about 2,000. Alright, yeah, so I definitely think it's burping at this point, but it could very well just be like a vacuum release or some sort of release of suction or something. Engine's definitely been on for a while. I've definitely been trying to burp this car for a while. So I can't sit here and say, oh yeah, it's burping right now. It's probably just reacting to whatever stimuli I put it into. So let's go take a look outside and see if we're losing our minds here. So if you look down here at the bottom, it looks pretty tight. It's not like overflowing with coolant. And then let's look here on the ground. So there's a couple drops there. That'll be oil. As you can see, my vehicle is coated in oil because I need to replace the front valve gasket. But there's no coolant leaks on the ground. You know, nothing that would indicate a constant drip based on me doing the burp here. So we'll keep at it, and I'll probably go for another 30 minutes and see what happens. All right, we got minute 30, or not a minute 30, an hour and 30 minutes on the clock. My assumption is that the vehicle will continue to, I can barely see it. Got bright out. Continue to do this in perpetuity, or until, of course, your engine light comes on. But as of now, as you can see, got a nice little engine warning on here, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it. What I have noticed is that the coolant level has gone down. It has gone down a little, so that's kind of, I think that might be kind of good. But after an hour and 30 minutes of doing this, you know, you would assume that, you know, you pretty much got what it's gonna do. I'll put it up to 3,000 reps per minute with the accelerator. Hold it there for maybe 10 seconds, let it go, The pressure in the system builds as you would see the coolant go up in the fill tank up there, and then as I let it go, the coolant flows back in, a bubble comes out, and then I would kind of rev it to 2,000, and then it would go back up, the bubbles would kind of come up, and then I would just keep doing that. So now that the engine's off, my assumption is that you would have this car kind of settle. The areas where it's maybe got air gaps would work its way up to the top to the fill deck, and then it would go ahead and come out. What I'll do is I'll leave it like this for a minute, let it settle like I said, and then once it cools off a little bit, then I'll go ahead and remove the filler cap and then filler neck thing, and then go ahead and put the new OEM radiator cap on. And then once that's on, then I can check the system for I guess leaks through the the upper and lower, as well as the reservoir. But as you've seen before, when I was on the ground, I've got some oil leaks from the front. Hour and 30 minutes of testing, I was able to keep the vehicle at a relatively decent temperature. It didn't overheat, and that, of course, is an absolutely good sign. So I'm gonna let this thing cool off for a little bit, and then we'll get back to it. Yo, this is the part of the video where I have to come clean about using non-OEM coolant. To be honest with you, I could care less. I would literally put mud in the coolant if it would work, but alas, I stuck with Peak. This is what I want you to see. Check that out. It's that little brownish kind of residue there. So, you let me know what you think this is, and whether or not this has the potential to clog up a system. Okay. Maybe this is a sign, but I can honestly tell you that this is residue from a coolant flush. You're not that guy now. You're not that guy. Yeah, those $7 or $8 bottles that you get from Walmart or AutoZone. Hopefully, this is not, again, the thing that's causing a leak or causing a blockage. Look at the top of this. And you see how there's coolant at the very top. It's resting at the very top, which is good. The new radiator hose installed. We're just gonna tighten it all the way. Covered on both sides. And we're gonna start the car up and kind of let the pressure build back up. As you can see, you can really squeeze these. I don't like that. I don't like that you can squeeze, because I feel like I know, there's air, but it's like there's almost no way to get that hard and put the cap on at the same time. So we'll go ahead and start it up, and I'll squeeze it again. Check for leaks.